Good morning. So today's all about trying to nick a bite on very limited time, and I've probably only got about 5 or 6 hours to nick a bite. Now where I've came to is a lake called Glenfell. It's fairly local to me, and it probably holds some of the biggest fish in Northern Ireland. Now it can be a little bit of a moody one, this one. It's got like a main deep bowl just as you come through. It gets down to about 25 foot that end, but where I'm having a little bit of a look around now, it shallows right up. You've got a little bit of a stream that comes in, and I would imagine the fish should start getting in these shallow areas, especially now we're coming through the end of February, getting into early March. So I'm going to carry on having a look around, and I'll get back to you when we're ready to get the rods out. Decided to start on the shallow end of the lake. There is a couple of lads down the other end, and I didn't really want to slot in between them, and I think this end of the lake is probably going to be my best chance for a bite. Now as you can see, I am using Carp Fishing's ultimate cheat code, the bait boat, which is something new to me, but I will tell you a little bit more about that later on. I'm going to concentrate on getting these rods out, and I'll talk you through the rigs and the tactics. Both rods have now been cheat boated out, or bait boated out should I say, and I'm also fishing with a new test bait from DNA. Now it's done me a few fish this winter already, and I'm looking forward to see how we get on with it in the spring, but I can't really say too much more about it. In fact, I don't even think it has a name yet, but it's going to be definitely one to keep an eye out for. Now where I've put both rods is in fairly shallow water. One rod I've dropped in 4 foot, the other is in 5 foot, and I'm hoping those fish are going to get right in the edge now that we're coming out of winter and heading into the spring. Right, bait boats, which one did I go for? What I've ended up with is the deeper Quest. Now there's going to be people watching this that know me to be very surprised to see and hear that I've ended up with a bait boat, and this all started last spring, and I wanted to have a little go on this venue because of some of the fish that are in here. And one thing I didn't realise at the time was that it's a bait boat dominated water, and me being me thought I could compete against that by casting, and I was proved wrong. Now I only had a handful of short sessions. I managed one which was a lovely mid-20. Well, managed to come out for a short session just before work. I've only really got 4 or 5 hours. I've seen a few fish this top end of the lake, which is a new lake for me. Well, I say new, I've fished it 2 or 3 times over the years, but this one's gone 25 too. And then things started to get a little bit busy down here. Everyone was using bait boats, and I left it alone for a little while. And one of the reasons was because of this venue. Now I had a couple of frustrating sessions last year where I found the fish, but trying to get a rig into position without spooking them was becoming a little bit difficult, and a bait boat just allows me to creep the rod into position, drop a little bit of bait, and gives me a much better chance of nicking a bite, which is exactly what happened last week. Well, how about that for a lovely mid-double? Managed to get out for a few hours today just before work, found a few fish, dropped some bait on the top, which is a new test bait from DNA, and it didn't take too long to get a bite. Right, the rods have been out for a couple of hours now and not a lot's happened, so I'm going to change this left hand rod and put it into a different area. And whilst I've got the rod in my hand, I'll quickly run you through the rig and the tactics I'm using. Now I am keeping things very simple, and I've probably got about 1 metre of lead free leader running down the lead clip with a 4-inch flat power lead. and the rig is a simple combi slip D rig. Now this is something I've used quite a lot of over the last few years. It's done me quite a few fish and a few good ones as well, and especially on these short sessions. If that hook point gets burred over, it's quick and easy to get a fresh hook on, fresh hook bait on, and get it straight back out there. Now I'm going to get this loaded into the boat with another bit of test bait over the top, and we'll get this left hand rod straight back out there. That's the left hand rod back out there. Now I did have a little bit of a problem with the boat. I don't know how I done it, but I managed to get the line wrapped in the propeller, so I had to pull that in, cut everything off, reset that up, got it back out there to where I'd seen a fish show, and then on the way back in with the boat I managed to pick up the line on the right hand rod, move the lead, so I've had to re-drop that one and put it back out there. And in the middle of all that going off, my brother in the swim next door had a lovely mid dubber. Now I've had liners on that left hand rod since I've put it out, so I'm hoping we're going to nick something off that. The right hand rod was probably the one I was banking on going at some point, but I haven't really seen much down there today, to be honest with you, but still a few hours left. Let's have a look at the bait I'm using. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm on this test bait from DNA, and I can't really say too much about it. It hasn't even got a name at the minute, but all I've brought with me is the boilie. I've chopped and crushed the whole load up, and the matching wafters. Now usually I would like to add a lot of liquids to my bait, add a few bits of pellet and other things in there, but in this case I'm just using the boilie on its own, because it's the only way to give that bait a true test. Now last week when I was on here, when I had that mid double, the fish were proper all over me. I dropped out a little bit of that crumb, scattered a few whole baits around it, and they were proper sheeting up on me. I was getting lots of liners before that rod pulled up, just in time before I had to head off to work. The sun has made a little bit of an appearance this morning, which should help that right hand rod fishing down in that shallow water. I'm still getting a few liners on the left hand rod, but I did want to take a second just to run through the gear I bring with me on these short sessions. Right, so starting with the rods, what I've got is a set of 10-foot Kaizen greens there and 3.5 pound test curve, and I've been really impressed with them for the money, to be honest with you. I've got them paired up with the Shimano XTDs, 5,500 size. I think they're the mini big pits, and the pod is from Jag. That's the RP1, which is a great bit of kit. Now that pod from Jag is really versatile. You can fish it as a 2-rod setup, you can split it into single sticks. Obviously on the stage in here I'm just fishing it as a pod at the minute, but you can also screw it down. And that is the rest of the kit. So I've got a little day chair there just to sit on. In that bag takes everything from my tackle, my bait and my camera. I've got a mat at the back, and the boat is probably the bulkiest bit of kit I have with me. Obviously in that I've got a sling in my rod bag, a little bait scoop on the floor to fill the boat up, and the rods. And even if it was on a much longer session, the only other thing I would bring with me would be a bivvy and a bed chair. I do like to keep my kit as minimal as possible. Just means if I see anything, it's not going to take me too long to pack everything up and get on the fish. Well, the wind is starting to pick up a little bit, but the sun's still out, and it's nice to feel the heat for a change. But I'm going to give you a quick look at the lake. Now down this end is where you enter from the car park, and that's the main bowl. It does get very deep down there. As you head further up the lake, it does start to shallow off. and at the very top there probably gets down to a couple of foot. Now, whenever I spent a little bit of time on here last spring, well, I say time, it must have done maybe 4 or 5 very short sessions. It was clear that the fish like to get up in that shallow water. I've just pulled the rods in and I've headed up the top end of the lake just to have a little look. Now, the one thing about this lake is the banks are quite steep on the path around the edge, and it gives you a good viewing point, especially in the shallow end. But at the minute I'm not really seeing much, although the water does look a little bit coloured. And I was banking on that right hand rod up here going, especially with that sun out this afternoon, but it just didn't happen. Although we did have a few liners on the left rod, but they soon stopped. Now, I'm not seeing anything at all up here, so I think I'm going to call it a day, to be honest with you. But I'm hoping, if I can get out next week, I will do. But I'm hoping to get back on the syndicate soon for a proper session, which I'm really looking forward to. But at the minute it is closed due to high water. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the water will drop just in time. Now, I just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really do appreciate anyone who takes the time to drop the video like. Feel free to comment, and anyone who subscribes, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one.